Like the argument that you make is like, I'm not in trouble because there's no rules against it, but you did ask me not to do this. Like it's just, look at it. It's clear as day. Like, do not. It's not even a question.
We have a little bit of update on that. You were right, Nick. We got a little bit of a nice transition. We're going to bring us into the next headline story, is that Valve also banned The Verge, the video game publication company, from its secret Deadlock playtest for leaking information about the game. You know, the game they're not making, that's not happening. They banned them. This is an article from TechSpot.
Clarification.
What's clarification?
It's from matchmaking. From matchmaking. They can still go in, log into the game, and play the game in custom lobbies with their buddies, like they did, but they just can't play matchmaking. That's the ban that it is.
Yeah, that feels like such a soft like slap on the wrist when it comes to something like this, where they essentially broke an NDA. But like that's also the crazy thing about this story, and it's a little bit drama, is that The Verge is claiming they never agreed to it. They didn't have to agree to it. They didn't see any NDA or any clause that says they couldn't share the information. And that's what they're alleging and arguing. But of course, Valve has been a little bit tight-lipped on it and like pulled out the rug from under Verge's feet on this. Let me say that one again. They pulled out the rug under Verge's feet from the playtest, and specifically just the server access to competitive matchmaking with Valve. They could still run custom games, which is interesting. Nick, what are you seeing with this? Anything you want to chime in on thoughts when you read this article, you heard about this story?
It's just a punishment for giving out a punishment. Like that's all. Like you didn't take away the game from them. They just said like you can just play with it by yourself now. Like you could totally tell everybody the features. But you'll never be able to do anything about like how the game really feels to play against other players and stuff like that. So you can talk about the game now, but you can't really express how it makes you feel or how good you think the game is. You can just say, you know, this car is built well. Like, that's it. Like,
yeah, we don't know how it drives on the road because you're only going to drive it in the parking lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's such a minor thing, but I wonder if it's just what they can do right now with this version. They've already like thrown out the iteration and like the client, so like Verge could like just hold on to the client, do data mining, could potentially make it worse by giving it to other people to data mine. So I wonder if that is a part of this decision. But you know, in that same way, I wonder how much more it's going to come down later if they send out a new version of the playtest, the beta, the alpha, the closed, whatever it is, and how it plays, if they're going to include that with the Verge or not. From the sounds of this, of just, you know, banning them from competitive matchmaking, it still sounds like they're going to be included, but it's like such a soft like FU, a slap on the wrist here, which kind of funny.
Yeah, like, it's just hilarious. It's like it's doing something for the sake of doing something because they needed to be punished for the thing that they did, but they don't really want to punish anybody. Like it's really like what it is. Like, oh, I really want to punish you, but no, you can have a teensy piece of the cake. Like it's like, oh.
Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show.
Right, and sometimes these leaks could be tactical. I'll say that in air quotes because like sometimes it's force fed and sometimes it's talked about. It's like, no, we don't want the public to know about this game. We don't want to, and like that's some of the stuff that Valve has done in the past. Like, does X3? Am I saying that correctly? I always mess up the phraseology. Like there's it's just I can't even, some of the games that they develop, they're so tight-lipped and so quiet, and they take however much time they want, kind of thing, that they kind of walk around like they don't really know what they're doing sometimes, but then they'll just come out with this amazing situation or amazing game, and then other times it's just a clusterfuck. So like, it's interesting. They're in this situation with Verb, and it's interesting, like, how much of a legal standpoint is this? Like, oh no, we didn't hit okay, so we don't have to. Like, I don't think that's going to hold up in a court of law. If you're given an NDA, it doesn't matter if you're accepted it or not. It's part of the terms of agreement, right?
I mean, look at it, and then just like look at the responses of like the Verge and like a bunch of other people who like side with Verge. Like, thanks again for like giving us all this information that we were gonna find out eventually, but now we know a little bit earlier because you wanted to like get the story, right? Like, they're just like, I didn't sign an NDA. It's like, that's not the point, bro. Like, there's nothing legally binding here. Like, you're a prick. You're such a prick for doing this. Like the argument that you make is like, I'm not in trouble because there's no rules against it, but you did ask me not to do this. Like, it's just, look at it. It's clear as day. Like, do not. It's not even a question. Like, these guys make it out like they were like, hey, would you mind not sharing anything about this game? We would, as Valve Corporation, we would really appreciate it. Like, that's not what happened here. They're just like, hey, don't share anything for this. You can play this game early access. And they like scroll up so you can see his like first quote. This is how like I got engaged with him in the first place. Like, I kind of like blew steam out of my ears. Like, literally saying, turns out Valve was not fine with me trying Deadlock with friends. Like, they were. They gave you the ability to invite friends.
Right.
Like, you're a dick. You're just a dick. Like, you're nothing else about this. You're just a dick.
I think before,
that's it. And like his argument,
I think before the episode, you'd said something pretty profound and how stupid it was, is that bros made a pinky promise and then broke the pinky promise.
Yeah. Like that's what he did. Like, I swear I won't, bro. Like, it's just silly. Right. It's just silly. And it's like, you know, if you were talking to a person like this in real life and not reading this nonsense on Twitter or an article, you'd be pissed just talking to this person. Like, don't hit my car. Do not hit my car. Yeah, I'm sorry I hit your car, man, but I told you not to hit the car. Yeah, I know, but I drove right into it. I could have avoided it, but I didn't.
Stuff happens, man. But I wonder too if it's going to impact the future cars. Right? Like, how much is it going to impact the Verge's access to future games? Valve is kind of slow when it makes games. It doesn't really develop things. When it does, it's methodical and very like detail oriented. But how much, access are you impeding on yourself later on? You've already impeded that ability to play with your friends, but that's on them, Anyway, I think it's time we move on. For that drama, it'll be fun to see what happens, if any more sort of like slap-on risks occur or etc. But we've got more to talk about. Like, we're in the final week